quiet.
Oh, sorry.
How do you even drink that?
Because it's delicious.
What?
The original is the classic. No question about it. But the remake? Sweeter, bolder, better.
Russians.
Yep, you nailed it. Hello and welcome to my review of Russian Terminator, aka Stranger Things 3. It has been that time of the year again where Stranger Things was again rebooted. Again. There's gonna be a lot of that. They have been hitting the reset button hard, and every time it comes up again, it's a little stranger, in the sense that the continuous retreading of story structure, beats, and themes makes it come up more disposable by every new regurgitation. I feel like we've been here before. Stranger Things' essence are really two things: the horror and the mystery. And while season 3 is mostly fun, well done, performed and directed, the writing leaves a lot to be desired. I wish they would just head down a concrete road, even if that road dials up the ridiculousness to 11. I'd be fine with that, more or less. Just don't try to make me take this seriously.
Is that so?
Yeah.
The mystery. In season 1 or just 1, it has been these thingies and the government guys doing experiments with other dimensions. But now that's done with, and what do we get for season 2? I mean, 2. The Mind Flayer? Okay, that's pretty cool. I really hope I get to see this thing turn into a sausage version of itself, clumsily trotting about like a really stupid 4-ton dog. Oh hey, great! That's exactly what I wanted! Boy, I sure am glad to be drunk.
Now that I'm sober, I think it sucks.
The other mystery in 2 was this garbage. This was so misguided that they don't even mention it in any way, shape or form in 3. In a way though, this is perhaps the main issue with the show. The mystery really is done. It was Strange Things from another dimension. What more do you want? What more could you make of it? A fundamental problem with running a horror series is that if you just have the one thing, you can really only spoil it once, and when you do, you better have a good direction in mind after. This freaking show Supernatural, which is honestly pretty enjoyable at times, is in its like 14th season or something. But they always mix up the monsters and many episodes have a completely different tone and vision. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it falls flat on its face.
I've got genital herpes.
But the longevity of the show is directly tied to its varying nature. Cosmic horror, though, is really hard to pull off. It mainly relies on you understanding as little as possible about the nature of the phenomenon. This, however, doesn't work very well for adding lore or expanding the universe. Any knowledge we gain over the unknown has to be done by reasonable means. The more reasonable the scenario becomes, the less impactful the horror elements are. You can certainly still create suspense, but hardly horror. At least not for any seasoned horror enthusiasts. It just looks really stupid. I think Stranger Things 2 and 3 are test runs. Like a comedian sharpening their act by testing it on unsuspecting crowds in comedy clubs. They are basically leaning out a few different windows, never too much though hitting on something concrete because they seem terrified of losing their core audience. But if it's a comedian mostly telling the same jokes over and over, it gets tiresome. And now we're here at Stranger Things 3 and the mystery is... drumroll...
Russians.
Except it's not a mystery at all because they give it all away within the first 5 minutes. These 5 minutes are also the most ridiculous this show has ever been. However, I must confess that this also made me more forgiving with some of the other nonsense. They are setting the stage for stupidity. Fine. If you're gonna go down that route, then please don't waste my time with any inconsequential... Oh, shit. What the hell even happened in the first 3 episodes? Horny teenagers, horny soccer moms, horny everything.
Happy screams.
He's getting raped. Okay, done. Something, something, something. Rats being weird. Okay, yeah, that's it. Why? I honestly forgot this was basically the mystery aspect to this episode. The rats do weird shit like eating things that are not meant for eating. I could go into detail and it makes them blow up kind of. Oh no, if only you waited just 30 seconds longer. Why did you need him to come with you this urgently again? Oh, it's not mentioned? I guess she figured out other people had missing shit eaten by rats, but you got a fucking live one in here. Seems like a flimsy excuse for some half-baked conflict later on. Speaking of which,
I dump your ass.
after Dustin picks up some Russian code back in episode 1, him and Good Hair team up with Chick Chick and Little Chick to infiltrate the Russians who have moved into the shopping mall. Instead of, telling an adult? Oh wait, never mind, they're just as bad at this. But seriously, which isn't really a word I should use in the context with this show anymore, but wouldn't you inform the FBI back then? Didn't they have an overabundance of tips in these times? Pretty sure you could just snap a couple of pictures of these morons casually standing outside with assault rifles behind a fucking shopping mall. Nothing to see here, move along.
You broadcast that stupid spy shit all over town and we picked it up on our Cerebro and we cracked it in a day. A day! You think you're so smart, but a couple of kids who scoop ice cream for a living cracked your code in a day.
Exactly. So there's really no need in showing me how you torture the poor guy. And he really doesn't act like someone who is most certainly going to be executed, if not tortured for days before being executed and burned. What happened to your concerned face? Shouldn't you be crying and begging for your life about now? Or do you really think you're just under arrest, more or less? Oh, they will definitely let us go once we convince them that we won't tell anyone about their secret underground base and other dimensional experiments. I'm sure I'll be home for supper. Ouch! Yet somehow they hardly touch her at all. Pretty sure Russians weren't that sexist in spycraft context. This may come off all kinds of bad, but more women beatings. Not IRL, just in movies and stuff. Especially if they're protagonists. It endears these characters to us seeing them fall and break. We need to know they're not indestructible. We need to see it, most importantly. Yeah, just keep beating his ass. And his. And his. And his. And his ass. But not her ass. Oh god, I meant her backside. Just switch her off. Yeah, tie her up. To tie her up. Yeah, tie her up. Yeah, that's... This is weird. I'm really going off topic here because there's nothing more to talk about. The Russians don't have some weird new angle or seem to know any more about the phenomenon than anyone else. This season is really spinning its wheels in the dirt, and while I can say that they do it in a cool-ass car and they do some neato tricks, but it's really not heading anywhere. It's nice to look at, but it's really inconsequential. What even actually happened this season? Billy, a character that we don't know at all, died. A couple of other characters we don't know at all died. And Hopper, quote-unquote, died. Pretty damn sure he'll be back though, unless they were particularly tasteful with that. But I don't think so. Awesome. The most disappointing thing for myself really are the broken promises. The first Stranger Things promised a serious and stylized take on the horror genre. Most of season 1 was very subdued, and while it stands to reason to make this whole thing a little more excessive, It never felt like a completed thought after that first time. It's like they just ran into production with the first thing that popped into their head. X-Men. Okay, nobody liked that. Then Russians. Nailed it. Part of what made the Russian plot work in a schlock kind of way was the commitment. They really showed us this story thread and it actually made for some good moments.
Yeah.
I most definitely wouldn't have made this if it wasn't for the complete lack of shit-talking this movie. Listen, I don't know how to refer to this anymore and I don't care. This movie is like 8 hours long and about 7 things happen, and only 2 things of consequence. In total, this season gets a 58 out of 100 points. It's mostly enjoyable to watch, but can be a drag at times when things just happen. Are you all trauma-proof? You should really have some kind of reaction to watching a bunch of Russians get crushed by a telekinetic mutant freak. No one seems affected by these events in the slightest. I guess they're just badasses. Little Rambos and Ridleys, and big Rambos and Ridleys. So next season, either take things down a peg and make it more serious, or take the other road to Silly Town. But make up your mind.